to work. Moscow is the capital of the first state of workers and peasants in the world. In a country where the most important human right, the right to work, is secured in the fundamental law, the Constitution of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. This motion picture tells its audiences how the right to work is ensured in reality. The school children of yesterday are choosing their future professions today. True, among those applying for enrollment at higher schools, there are many young people who had already decided on their future while still at school. But it's no easy task, particularly if there are so many higher and specialized secondary schools, vocational schools, and various short-term courses. Professional orientation begins at school in the USSR. On certain days, school children go with their teachers to meet highly skilled specialists and obtain exhaustive information regarding any problem connected with the selection of a job in future. It's of course difficult to say how the destiny of each of these youngsters will shape. Some of them take great pleasure in servicing the children's railway. Others, no doubt, dream of becoming geologists and of discovering new deposits. Still others are fascinated by the rhythmic work of metallurgists. There's no doubting one basic reality. They shall all start out in life with a full right to choose any work that interests them. Soviet power proclaimed the right to work soon after the 1917 Socialist Revolution. The Civil War and the foreign military intervention, however, hindered the implementation of this right. Backward as it had already been, the national economy of the country was practically totally disrupted. The course for industrialization and the collectivization of farming brought unemployment to an end in the USSR. The fundamental law of the country, adopted in 1936, secured equal opportunities and equal rights for all citizens. First Vice Chairman of the USSR State Committee for Labor and Social Problems, Leonid Kostin.
Право советских людей на труд.
The right of Soviet people to work is proclaimed and secured by Article 40 of the Constitution of the USSR. This right is also guaranteed and ensured in the Soviet Union by the planned and uniform development of national economy and by socialist property. With the increase of the working capacity of the population, the plan envisages a corresponding growth in the number of jobs, so as to provide every person with gainful employment. In this country, unemployment was liquidated in 1930, once and for all. The Soviet people, particularly the modern generation, know nothing of and can never recall what unemployment, crises, and labor exchanges actually mean.
Право советских людей на труд ныне является таким обычным и повседневным.
In the 1977 Constitution of the USSR, the right to work had been added to and extended by the right to the choice of trade or professions, and getting a job in accordance with the profession, training, and education, and the desire of any person with due account for the needs of society. No problems arise in the Soviet Union that are connected with job placement. Engineers, technicians, and specialists of various professions are wanted and invited to work. Such want ads can be seen everywhere. Lvov is the regional center of West Ukraine. Just 40 years ago, it was impossible to find a job here. Now, just as everywhere else in the Soviet Union, one can find a suitable job. Data on vacancies at various enterprises and establishments flow to job placement offices at the end of every 3 months. Extensive information helps specialists in making a correct choice. Every applicant signs a working agreement with the management. There are no limitations of rights and no advantages are given on the basis of sex, race, nationality, or religion in strict accordance with the Constitution of the USSR. The application for the job is voluntary, and the applicant may leave the job whenever he wishes. The worker may be assigned to another job only by his own consent. On his part, every job seeker promises to work conscientiously and to observe labor discipline. The laws and trade unions stand on guard protecting the interests of office and industrial workers. Chairman of the local trade union committee. Recently, we discussed the reasons given by the management for firing a worker. The trade union committee found that there were insufficient grounds to take such action. The worker remained on his job. Can such a decision be appealed against? The decision of the local union committee cannot be appealed, nor can it be nullified by a higher trade union body. We are present at a discussion of a collective working agreement. The draft agreement has been discussed by workers in every production shop and office of the enterprise. The management of the plant is pledged to fulfill all the provisions of the agreement. Several years ago, the trade union demanded that the management provide all-round assistance in increasing the professional qualifications of workers. Here are the results. There are permanent advanced training courses and a school. Training and education are free of charge, of course. The mastering of new specialties will mean improved professional skills and higher wages, guaranteed in accordance with the country's fundamental law. Scientific progress is bound to keep rendering a powerful influence on the character of labor. Metal-cutting lathes and machine tools of the latest designs are being made and tested at the Stanka Konstrukcja plant in Moscow. The automation and mechanization of labor-consuming processes, production control by means of electronic computers and programming devices, make work much easier. We asked Pyotr Dorodny, chief of this production shop, whether automation and mechanization breeds unemployment. Of course not, he replied. This is our first sector with programming control devices. The operators here currently service 2 to 3 machine tools, and the people released from these jobs have been retrained with no loss in wages. We are short of manpower at times. This is why we're actually interested in releasing people to retrain them.
Заинтересованы в том, чтобы высвобождать людей и, значит, занимать их другими профессиями.
The planned development of the national economy and full employment have excluded the possibility of crisis phenomena and unemployment. The right to work gives assurance in the morrow and in the future of our children. Meet the Alimov family from Chirchik, a town in the Uzbek Soviet Socialist Republic. They furnish a vivid example of the dynamic growth in the prosperity of Soviet people. 40 years ago, Kenja Alimov, the head of this dynasty, arrived to work among the builders of the Chirchik electrochemical plant. That's him on the photo. Nowadays, Kenja Alimov will be quite content. His elder daughter, Hamiya, worked as a machine operator at the plant. She did not break off ties with the plant after retirement, however, and in her talks with school children, she strives to arouse their interest in workers' professions. Sherali Alimov became a high-skilled specialist. He graduated from the Industrial Technical School with honors and now works as assistant to shift foreman. The youngest daughter, Mayram, works as a lab assistant. The super quality of her analyses has won her great prestige. Granddaughter Clara has disclaimed family tradition and decided to become a lawyer. She's a university student and works at the personnel department of the plant. She has just appointed this boy, who served his stint in the army, to the job he had before being drafted. This is a requirement of labor legislation. Actually, that's the way it was with Uchkun, another grandson of Kenja Alimov. On returning home and to the plant after military service, he was given his old and favorite job. The children and grandchildren of former Dehan peasant Kenja Alimov work in different production shops. Just as any Soviet citizen, each one of them is confident that the principal human right, which is the right to work, is guaranteed to them. Labor in the USSR is voluntary and free. No matter where a person might be employed, his work contributes to the communal wealth, to the welfare of the people. In the Soviet Union, the socially useful work performed by man and the results of this work determine his place and position in society. Anatoly Bristorovitz, direction and photography, Nariman Azimov, cameraman Shahskar Shamahmudov. This film was made by the Uzbekistan Popular Science and Documentary Film Studios, commissioned by the Union of Soviet Societies for Friendship and Cultural Ties with Foreign Countries.